Guess who's back? Back again. Remco's back. Tell a friend. Remco's back. Remco's back. Remco's back. Na na na. La Vuelta, stage 8 from Denia to Xorret de Cati. It is a Rampas Inhumanas finish. Finally, we have one this week. 3.8 Ks, 11.4%. A lot of climbing that the riders will be familiar with beforehand. Unseasonably cool conditions, 26 degrees at the start, 19 degrees at the finish. Very nice for Remco and all the other riders in the Belgian Tricolore. And we missed the break formation, but a big break again. 30 riders, but the closest on GC this time was Christian Rodriguez. So not the same GC threats. And Jumbo-Visma's veteran Geesink was helping FDJ control. So FDJ was very obvious. They were keeping it close, so Lenny Martinez, the young buck, would keep the red jersey. De Gent Fuga de la Fuga, because he had 3 teammates, including Leonard Van Eltveld and Kroon, behind. But Jumbo were clearly wanting something else. They were wanting the stage win because they kept pacing all day, and the break, it didn't work that well. Didn't have those riders like Jumbo the other day riding super hard to make sure it went all the way. It was attacking itself, just so much Fuga de la Fuga action from Caruso, Tiberi, and in particular Lascano. And, you know, I can understand them not wanting to go to this finish with Romain Bardet in the group, but Dylan van Baarle had other ideas, bringing the gap down below a minute in the run into the base of this climb. So, strong break, but it didn't pan out like it did the other day. Jumbo-Visma obviously wanted the stage win, but who with? They got Kuss, they got Roglic, they got Vingegaard. They're all positioned here. You can see Almeida's trying to be moved up by a teammate on the right-hand side. It narrows into the climb, and you don't want to start at a deficit. But UAE and Almeida struggles sometimes in the run into these sort of climbs, whereas Jumbo, they were using Kelderman early. Kuss moves himself up ahead of Bora Hansgrohe, trying to position Oethebrooks and Vlasov. Kelderman's had a few crashes, but here's the climb. The gap's only 30 seconds when it starts just about. And look at this middle portion, 22% pinches. It's a bit easier at the start, but real ramp-ass stuff, what the Vuelta is famous for. Although similar to Puy-Marie and Mont, which is featured in the Tour de France recently, Tratnik launches it, then it's Attila Valter, and this is what I didn't understand, so maybe someone fill me in. Is Vavaka telling Vingegaard, you're no good, go faster? Or is he looking back to see where Jan Hirt or Cataneo are, because he's not supposed to be pulling right now? I think it might be the latter. He's looking around for the other quick-steppers. And, you know, when they launch it from the base, it's really, really hard to move up. As I said, and Almeida, Ayuso, Wout pulls, they almost had to do the most watts of anybody. You look at them, Ayuso's behind the Caja rider, Almeida's behind him, and there's no red jersey. You can see Stora just poking his head out the bottom, and when the camera pans down a little bit further, you can see Stora pacing Lenny Martinez. He'd be losing that red jersey today, unfortunately, whilst Vavaka finally has Catania there. So he starts to spank it, and it's different to the other day. He's really hitting it, so Remco must be feeling good. This is a climb that really suits him when he's on form. And here's the breakaway. They're in sight. They're like 8 seconds ahead. Remco should be able to see them just ahead, the remnants of that breakaway, and they're going to catch them with, 5 minutes left on the climb plus. And watch Sepp Kuss here. He's the third Jumbo rider. He's just about to attack as Catania pulls off at the same time that Remco accelerates. He surges and covers off that Sepp Kuss attack, which I didn't actually see live. And here's actually, Roglic throws in a dig, but the camera angle changes away from the heli shot, and you can't really see, but he definitely attacks. When it goes to the front on, he's now in front of Remco overlapping. So they're trying the old 1-2 once again on these steep gradients, and when it flattens off just a little bit here, it's not 20% right here, Sepp Kuss hits Remco. And that's where the 1-2 and the 1-2-3 works best, is on the shallower gradients. Remco lets Kuss get 5 seconds, and then once it gets steep again, Remco winds it back or holds the gap stable. And you can use Almeida behind, Soler there, and Ayuso as the barometer for when Remco's accelerating, because they yo-yo a little bit. Whereas Vingegaard, Roglic, and Mas just stay glued to Remco's wheel. And of all the climbs in this Vuelta for Remco to do his own pace and for Jumbo's 1, 2, 3 to not be as effective, this is probably the one with 18, or Angleroo maybe 2 with the ramps there. But this one in particular, there's not so much draft benefit in 16%, even though there is a headwind, so they are doing a little bit less in Remco's wheel, but they catch Kuss. Remco checks. Where's Jonas Vingegaard? Okay, check. He's on one shoulder. Roglic, all right, he's there on the other shoulder. Is there the 2? Where's the second counter? It doesn't come. Remco Evenepoel decides attack, or simply riding over 7 watts per kilo is the best form of defense. This Vuelta is not over after his wobble on Havalambre, and also Juan Ayuso looking incredibly strong here too. Remco with 3 Jumbos in his wheel, 3 UAEs yo-yoing in and out of his wheel, decides he's just going to ride the front as hard as he can into the base of this descent. And now it was the bit where maybe you think he could let up a bit, but he rides the descent in front, which also I get for safety. You want to do it at your own pace. Like, for example, Ayuso moves in front of Mas here, who brakes much harder than the Jumbo guys, and Remco into this upcoming sweeping right-hander. And Ayuso is a really, really good descender. You saw that in Swiss on several occasions. Martinez over a minute back at this point. But why does Remco keep pacing after the descent at this point? After here, okay, they're all freewheeling, fine, don't give up first position. But here he's pushing. And it starts to go uphill at the finish with about 400 meters to go. The other guys aren't moving up. They're single file, which means he's pushing full gas, and he opens up his sprint with 300 meters to go after pacing the whole climb with Primoz Roglic in his wheel. And when we see Roglic overlapping in this corner with 150 to go, there can only be one winner. Primoz Roglic doing what he does best, winning the small group sprint after a rampas climb, even putting 2 seconds into Vingegaard, who has his arms raised. But Remco just put his hand up, and he says he did not know that the breakaway had been caught, which seems to explain somewhat how he rode that final kilometre. I've never seen Roglic so pumped, actually, after a victory, except for the Giro stage, when he was super happy. Beats Evenepoel and Ayuso, Mas, Vingegaard, Almeida, Soler, all on 2 seconds, while Pol's actually in the top 10, then Vlasov 10th. Here's what Roglic had to say after the stage.
Remco was not the better sprinter now, but you gave the answer.
Thank you. Yeah, nice, huh? Now he's even more relaxed. It was already nice. But most of all, I mean, I'm happy that, I recovered after the crash. But, just enjoying now, and we go day by day. Yeah, it was hard, huh? I did it for the first time, this climb, and also the finish. I mean, I didn't know really. So, yeah. You know, then for the sprint is always a bit of gambling, but I mean, I had the legs and I could do it.
But GC Kuss is real, goes into the leader's jersey 2 minutes and 31 ahead of Remco. He shouldn't lose all of that in the time trial on Tuesday, but we've got another stage tomorrow before the first rest day on Monday. Another fake news climb, uphill finish. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you with the recap tomorrow. Ciao.